We are live. It is Tuesday, November the 23rd, 2021, 8:01 p.m. Eastern, 5:01 p.m. Pacific. Welcome to NasCanucks, your auto racing podcast live right here on YouTube with a Canadian spin. I'm Ben.
All right, get that in there.
We've got all the news, all of it. Because if we don't talk about it, it's not really news.
No.
So welcome to off-season edition. We've got Terry's 3Gs in the chat, but not actually watching because I'm showing 0 people watching. Perfect. That sounds about
liar.
Right. Oh, we got one. One.
Terry's back. Maybe not, though.
There we go. So, yeah, off-season, which I use that term loosely because no sooner were they wrapping up, handing out trophies and checks and such, and then we've got a bunch of next-gen cars testing at Charlotte.
Yes.
Which makes me happy because I've been binge-watching a lot of podcasts with older retired drivers, crew members, owners, crew chiefs, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount that track used to be used, Doug, is insane.
Oh, yeah.
Like the 600 week, 4 days of qualifying for the Cup guys. They started qualifying on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just happy hour qualifying session each day. Xfinity cars. They had the Grand National Series running at Charlotte, which was basically old Busch cars and Cup cars. That company just did a weekly racing series at Charlotte. Like, talk about chance to get your, some seat time on an intermediate track.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool stuff. So, anywho, yes, a lot of next gen testing going on at Charlotte. So, several teams, including, I started to wonder, Doug, are these next gen cars modular? Like, do they just have 2 cotter pins they pull out to replace a whole front clip that, just slides into a couple frame rails, you would think? Because we saw last week Austin Dillon, what we thought, right off a car.
Oh, God. Not just us. Like, I had heard it all over SiriusXM. Well, he just wrote the car off.
Yep.
There's no coming back.
Done. He did that early afternoon. And by the time
was it early afternoon or morning?
I think it was early afternoon. It was like right after lunch.
Well, because they said he could have been back like in the afternoon. I know it's 2 hours to welcome.
Well, maybe it was in the morning, but either way, he was back for the evening rehearsal, practice, test, if you will, right after dinner. So, which is really cool because they're like, screw it, let's do 3-4 test sessions a day. And it was interesting, some of the cars out there, because like I saw a number 1 with a big M on it that looked a lot like a Monster Energy M, but not quite a Monster Energy M. Which is weird because Monster's gone over to the 45.
It wasn't an M. Oh, okay. It was a TH that looks like an M.
Gotcha.
The top of the T was just extended. That is the Trackhouse car.
Right. Which they also Trackhouse just had their new open house last week at their new facilities in Concord, which tells me they did keep the Ganassi shop. Or property, if you will.
Yep. But there was a lot of the drivers. Like if the team had multiple drivers, there was multiple drivers at that
sharing 18 car.
Yeah, Suarez and Chastain were both in the one. Because at one point the one was out on track while they were interviewing Chastain walking pit road.
Hey, I'm happy to finally see some teams other than Childress being able to test a car on a daily basis. Because they're like, well, we had Childress build the prototype. Is that fair? Don't you have a whole building right across the road from Ganassi called the NASCAR R&D Center? You were able to build a COT, POS in there. Why can't you build a next gen?
Mm-hmm. So...
I like the idea of having Tony Stewart doing a lot of the testing, mind you, because he's not an active driver. But he's a team owner. Tony's a team owner in name only. He hasn't been at a NASCAR race in a while.
Mm-hmm.
he's been busy honeymooning.
Yes, that's the big change from him.
Yes.
The big winner in that is it Tony getting married, or is it Marco winning the $100 because Tony got married
Well,
and
there is.
went through with it?
And we should mention Marco being Marco Andretti.
Yeah, Marco Andretti. I don't know if you watch the video online. There's someone that takes a nice video of the happy couple, Mr. and Mrs. Stewart, walking up the aisle, pans the crowd at the church or whatever. Because I don't know, would Tony be able to walk in one? Would it burning down? I don't know.
I don't know. It depends
And then
on how
the last,
religious you are, because it's like Leah's third or fourth marriage. So
true, yeah. Pan around to the back, and there is an older gentleman. Like I said, I'm not sure of who it was. You would probably know who it was. Handing Mr. Marco Andretti a crisp $100 bill because Tony actually went through with it.
well, I guess it's someone like Red Farmer.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah. So next gen testing. Smoke got married. Trackhouse open house. I also want to mention a big return next year. Qualifying and practice is returning to NASCAR competition.
yes,
Was the wording, which doesn't tell us what series or how often.
yes, I do have it. I do have it here. I was looking at something else on my phone here. That's when I was looking down. I was looking at something else. It's a
Welcome our second mysterious viewer.
yes. It's let me. I was not prepared. As usual.
But you have bandwidth this week.
I have been. I can talk. Can talk. Yeah.
Took off the restrictor plate, if you will.
Yeah. Not. There's. It comes down. We'll have it on it. We've got time.
We'll
talk about it on another show. There is different qualifying for the separate tracks for the short track, super speedway.
They're doing the knockout format.
Again. Yeah, but and then with the road courses, there's a different thing. Practice is like 15 minutes long, so you'll be able to shake the car down, give it a couple laps, make sure it's not falling apart.
Yeah. I wonder how much of this return of practice and qualifying is because they are running a new car.
I think a lot, but I think
because
the fans have wanted have asked for it.
Well, that's the thing. Like NASCAR has been run on a corporate way for a number of years now, where in corporate it's all about profits, and more for NASCAR it's to cut the bleeding. So they've cut costs. Like used to be you ran multiple engines over a weekend, multiple days of qualifying, multiple days of practice every weekend, and more off weekends because generally you tested at the track the week before you went to that track. Unlimited testing at any track. Hell, you had certain owners in the series owned tracks. Penske.
Yeah.
I forgot he owned Homestead. Totally slipped my mind. Which is kind of handy when you're having the season finale at Homestead and your car owner owns the track.
Yes. So. Well, yeah, let me see. I think I may have pulled it up here. Just it's so for expanded weekends. So let me see if I can get this here right here now.
Expanded weekends would be the non-one-day shows.
Yeah. So 1 50-minute practice in addition to on-track qualifying.
So Chase Elliott will have no practice.
Yeah.
Because if they're still doing inspection the way they do during practice, essentially.
Okay, let me see if I can pull this here up now. On ovals. There'll be 15 minutes of practice.
You're going to barely get your tires warm in 15 minutes.
There'll be Group A will be single car 1 lap. Group B, single car 1 lap. Sorry, that is the qual. So there'll be 15 minutes of practice where you can go out, have at it. Then qualifying will be Group A will be half the field, single car 1 lap for ovals. Group B, single car 1 lap on the oval.
That better not be a pill draw. That should be odds and evens in the points.
How you did the last race, I believe.
Even
Anyway,
worse.
then there'll be a final round of the top certain cars. Will be single car, one lap, winner gets the pole. Note there'll be 2 laps at Martinsville, Bristol, Richmond, and Dover. Super speedways will
I was
consist
going to
of
say, though, you're going to have multiple laps of qualifying for super speedways because you can't even get up to speed in the first lap.
all cars, single car, 1 lap, top 10 transfer to the final round. Final round will be 1 lap, fastest qualifier gets the pole.
Stupid.
Road courses. Road courses.
It's going to be a happy hour style.
20 minutes of practice for a road course. Group A will be a 15-minute time session.
Yep.
Group B, 15-minute time session. Top 5 will transfer to the final round from each group. Final 10 cars. There'll be a 10-minute time session then. Fastest qualifier gets the pole. Bristol Dirt Race will have its own qualifying. Is this not riveting show here right now? There'll be 2 15-minute.
Oh, yeah, we just lost one of our 2 viewers.
2 50-minute practice sessions. 4 qualifying races to determine the field and starting lineup for the Sunday race.
Right.
Looks like they'll be racing one day, qualifying one day, racing the next.
Right.
Lineup for qualifying races are based on random draw. So that is our.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Extended practice weekends will feature 2 standalone 50-minute practice sessions. Qualifying format and everything will be the same as I just said for qualifying. Those extended weekends are the Daytona 500, Atlanta 1, Bristol Dirt, Gateway, Nashville, and Phoenix, and the second race in Phoenix. So if you see extended races, the extended weekends will go Bristol Dirt, Gateway new, Nashville new, and the second Phoenix for the final.
I swear NASCAR could screw up a 1-car parade at this point. But hey, that's why we tune in for the shit show. All right. News. Spire Motorsports that left NASCAR briefly are back.
They'll be back in the truck series.
So they're starting their careers over again. They're going from cup down to trucks and starting over again.
Listening to Bono Mannion on the radio today, he will be the crew chief for the car. Mike Gretschy, I believe it is coming over from Hattori Motorsports, that truck team, to kind of run. Pardon?
Shiggy Hattori.
Yes, yeah, not Shiggy is staying where he's at.
Yeah,
but
because Shiggy owns the team.
Yes.
Owners don't usually move around from ride to ride.
Yes.
Shop. Yes.
Yep. So he's coming over. Other news was in what you heard here. Became Roush Fenway Keselowski, RFK Racing, which I have a feeling that within a certain amount of time now will just become BK Racing, because there's been a lot of changeover in the shop at Roush Fenway, now Roush Fenway Keselowski.
Right.
A lot of the BK Racing team members have come over to work in the shop, to run the shop.
So when BK Racing shut down, they would have spread out and been working at various teams over the last how many years?
Yeah. And with Brad coming back in, they were all like, "Oh, hey." And they all came back. They gave them spots. And the other reason why I think that is because we know that Jack does not have any family that wants to take over the team.
Jack has a son, but
he wants nothing to do with the team.
I think they're about as close as far as racing goes as Roger Penske and his son, which is Roger Penske's son fields his own IndyCar series program, but never uses any Penske equipment. Wonder why.
So there's that there where Keselowski can go into that, because we've always been wondering, where is Keselowski's share coming from?
Yeah.
Then there's news that broke last week that the Fenway Group is going to be purchasing the Pittsburgh Penguins of the NHL. So,
which
could
I
they
would
be
think that
coming
sounds
out of
like Fenway
NASCAR?
probably sold half of their interest in Roush Fenway to Brad, or gave it to Brad. Well, actually sold to Brad, because it's going to be like, let's say, you know, if 10% is worth 10 million, we'll give you 50%, but it's not 50 million. It's only going to be 25 type thing, because Fenway is raising capital for purchases of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to charge Brad a bunch of money to sign with your team, even giving him an ownership role.
Yep.
You just create another slot, basically. You know, we'll never know what the exact numbers are, but eventually we will hear that Jack will be It'll be like, I have a feeling it'll be like Felix Sabatis and Chip Ganassi.
Yes.
You know,
yep.
Which I heard some wild stories about Jack Roush over the last couple of weeks. Let's fire up the airplane at the Christmas party. Or Jack will give you a ride back. Jack's flying back. You can ride with him, and every Roush employee went, "No, I'll ride in the 10-seater van back. Thank you very much." Hey, Guitar Man 45.
Okay. Other news that dropped yesterday in the what was the social media guy thinking?
Mm-hmm.
The Mike Harmon has been suspended, along with a couple other people, fined, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
For practicing.
Testing.
Testing at a track. I seen the picture, and I kind of agree with some other people saying, how can you really be testing when you're got a charger on the track? An old charger at that, but
Cesar Baccarella.
Yes, that's it. So they were at Rockingham Speedway, putting some laps in, and it's great. And they put on, it's great to see the boss back in the car.
Wait, at Rockingham?
Yes.
I know what that is, because I follow a guy here on the YouTubes. All it is, Doug, it's a bunch of guys like us that have bought old race cars, because God knows we see them laying around in yards down there. Guys are just, and it's like historic racing, but it's just they rent out the track for a day, or the new owner owns some old cars too. And there's a bunch of guys that'll do YouTube videos from there, and it's just guys like us that are flipping these cars to build up the newer stuff. There's some tribute cars.
Well, yeah. Because I'd also seen someone that said, when I'd seen online, that they said, well, what's the difference to him doing that? Then they showed a little picture of a car from the Hendrick Motorsports group, a car on the Hendrick Motorsports track. Now, those are cars that they build for people that want to buy a replica car.
Right.
They're not the actual Cup cars, but.
Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking. It's a mere technicality, because Mike Harmon is an active NASCAR driver. Technically, because we saw some of this happen off season the last couple of years, guys running certain late model events. They went, oh, no, because that's a track that we compete on. It'd be like the Martinsville late model race. Nobody's allowed to run that anymore, because that's an active NASCAR track. You can run the Snowball Derby because it's at a totally independent track, different car. But when you get into even similar cars now at similar tracks, NASCAR is really overreaching for this ban on testing, to the point where I bet you would get fined for testing if you decide to take out the car, you're at Richard Petty Motorsports in that industrial park, and you just open up one of the bay doors and fire up the car and take it down the street a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
That's testing, because that's an active car and blah, blah, blah,
Well, and I want to kind of go back to something on just come through my head here, which I kind of laughed at with, just go back with the Spire Motorsports thing. They had, like, when they had Bono Mannion on the radio today, his connection was kind of iffy. I kind of know what that's like with them. But he, when it was kind of iffy, he just said 163 Mooresville Road. I'm like, oh, you're in the old Red Horse Racing building.
Yep.
But
we know where that is. You just go into the park. It's down on the left.
Just across from where Richard Petty was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like one block before on the opposite side of the street. It was interesting. It's like we need to track it down because I heard about those buildings that we would look at all the time in and around the Speedway and who's been in those buildings and stuff. Because guys say, well, you know where Daryl's old shop was? And I'd be like, yeah. They're like, just like the former Robert Yates racing shop, his last shop. He only had just moved into that when he had Ricky Rudd drive for him because he bought Ricky Rudd's shop. And then after Yates was in it, Wood Brothers used that shop. And now somebody else. It's just like so many teams have been.
Well, I know
one of those ones that's nearby.
Jeff Gordon, Richard Petty, and Mario Andretti had their racing school or drive things in the one shop back there as well too. That's up on Moorhead Road.
Yeah,
back where I used to camp.
Where Bobby Allison's shop was there, Alan Kowicki's. Those were the two. I think some of those are now owned by the Speedway, those buildings. But those, same as when they put in the condos. Half those condos were owned by drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Just for whatever reason.
Yep. So if I didn't bore you enough before talking about qualifying, there's still the issue of the Clash that's coming up at.
They're running heat races.
Yeah. So they're going to qualify. 1 to 40 cars will be qualifying. Run heat races. They'll break that down to 2 last chance qualifiers, and then there'll be a 150 lap race for the 23, which will be the top 4 in the 4 heat races. 3 last chance qualifiers from each race, and the 2021 points provisional champion. So that's how that 23 cars will line up for that race.
Interesting.
Which should be interesting because they are starting to put that track down in early January.
I wanted to mention, because we've been forgetting about it next, but first, Richard Petty Motorsports announced a new primary sponsor for the majority of the races. Holy crap, Doug. They're actually going to have a consistent paint scheme week to week. Clint Boyer.
I don't think they've had one since like
where?
It was like the Cheerios and all that car.
Yeah, it's now Focus Factor. It's going to be on for 26 races, which is a brain health supplement leader, which means they're going to run out of money by May.
Yes.
Every time one of these medication type, other than the Viagra card, that's the only one that had financial stability. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I saw the announcement. It came up in YouTube, actually. Richard Petty Motorsports put out a little video. Basically, Eric Jones and Richard Petty both preparing their day or something. I don't know. They both.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that we talked about that was on, then off, then on, it's now back on again, is that the 45 team did purchase one of the, was it one of the Spire Motorsports charters?
I think it was.
Because Spire was going to sell it to them, and then they took it back because they're like, oh, we're going to sell it to someone else.
Yeah.
And that person fell through. Okay, we're going to go back to. So Kurt Busch will have a
charter.
A charter, and
Which
his
a huge deal, really, because they did bring back the previous champions provisional.
Yeah.
Which you can use somewhere between 4 and 6 times during the year, I think. Don't quote me. And if you look at the roster,
yeah,
how many previous champions are there? Half a dozen?
Chase, Larson,
yep.
Busch,
yep.
Busch,
yep.
Truex,
yep.
Harvick,
yep. Keselowski, Logano,
dumbass.
Okay, so more than I thought.
Yeah.
But he would be in the old DW seat though if other champions didn't have an automatic in. He is the oldest champion in the field.
Yes, and he will be reunited with Billy Scott, who was his crew chief on the 41 at Stuart Haas.
Oh, cool. Speaking of, yeah, Kurt Busch being the last Winston Cup champion. Was he? Oh no, he was the first, or was he the first Nextel Cup champion? And Matt Kenseth was the last Winston Cup. That's right around that time.
Yeah.
So
last
Kurt won his championship in the 97, right?
I was going to say, was he not a Jack Roche driver?
Yeah, I think he won his championship with Jack.
The last Roche car to win a championship.
Yeah, because I think he won it the year after Matt Kenseth.
Yep.
Interesting. Yes, still no word on Xfinity programs by Roush, because I'm not ruling it out at this point.
No, not at all.
Other than lack of sponsorship. That's the only thing is, but honestly, I think if you picked up a sponsor like whoever, that's not the $10 million sponsor, but it's the $1 or $2 million sponsor or in funding, they'll run a partial program.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, Brad might run a partial schedule in Xfinity.
You never know. Yeah.
Because he gets to write his own ticket now, basically.
Yep.
Which is good.
Has Fox announced a replacement yet for Jeff Gordon?
No.
I don't think so. Not yet to go with Boyer and Mike Joy in the booth.
Yeah. Curious to see who that's going to be. I hope it's not a driver. I'd like to see another ex-crew chief.
Yep.
For that perspective. They're a little hit and miss too, because generally crew chiefs, they kind of burn their bridges when they leave the sport. There's a reason they don't pick up another job. It's not like they get dumb overnight.
Yep. So I think that's all the news I can come up with that I'm kind of thinking that I've heard.
Well, we've managed to go 27 minutes so far, so that's pretty good.
So question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Early. I know it's early. We just finished.
Yep.
Looking ahead 2022, if we know what new teams are here.
Yep.
Who do you think will be best of the new teams?
Kurt Busch.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, and someone had even added in Keselowski with Roush. I think it's going to be between Kurt and Brad for being those top of the whole seat switch people.
Well, if we're going to look at that way,
new teams.
Because I was thinking new teams is literally new teams. Like,
yeah,
the 45 is a new team.
Yes.
Whereas, more or less, BK's just taken over Newman's ride.
Mm-hmm.
So there's already existing structure there, infrastructure. Be interesting, yeah, new combinations, and we still do have some drivers without rides. Like what is Ryan Newman going to do?
Yep.
Or Ryan Preece.
I do know Ryan Newman will be in Bono Mannion's modified if he runs it at Loudon.
Right.
When they do their big modified race there.
Cool.
But yeah, we do have because there's Matty D, which I still think Matty D is going to go into Alfredo's ride.
Right.
At front row, just because I think it just has to. I think that's just.
I don't think Newman's willing to take that ride because he's like, I want to drive for a top team. Roush isn't a top team. Roush is a well-known team.
It's a team that people knew about, yes.
Yeah, which was like Childress for a number of years.
Yep.
Same thing. And, unlike Ryan Preece or Matty D, they haven't burned their bridges with all the big teams.
Oh, Matty D burned his bridge with Twitter, but
well, he did, but
yeah.
Still, there's a few owners that might like that. Who knows?
True, yeah.
Whereas we know for a fact Ryan Newman, there's no team that will rehire him that he used to.
Well, he's down to one manufacturer, being Toyota. So
yeah. And even then, Toyota is a pretty tight group. Like, where are you going to go, right?
Yep.
Because I think what you got. Gibbs is full for the Gibbs is full for the next 5 years.
Yeah, Martin's got 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah. But like I'm thinking, okay, Martin and Denny being the two elder statesmen, and even then, Denny's only a couple years older than Kyle Busch.
Yep.
But like, if they were to, because Denny might move on at the same time as Martin, only because he may run a third car at his own deal, and Martin being the old driver. But they've got slews of people in the pipeline.
Yes,
that's one thing Gibbs is never lacking. They let Harrison Burton go.
Which actually, now speaking of Toyota and Gibbs and the Denny Hamlin team, Dave Rogers went from the 18 Xfinity champion car to he's now performance development guy at 23XI.
Okay.
Racing. So we're still not sure what quite a performance development guy is.
Well, and I'd be curious too, how separate is that? Are you still a Gibbs employee, but you're working over at 2311, or do you completely sever ties? And there is no people going back and forth. Like, it's not a Wood Brothers situation where outside of, unless you're a family member for the Wood Brothers, chances are Penske signs your paycheck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Wood Brothers. Yeah, for sure.
Which apparently there is a slew of family members that work for the Wood Brothers. There's all kinds of Woodses and people that married Woodses that are not Woodses, and I heard that from a few Wood Brothers former drivers. They're just like, it's a very tight-knit group.
Yep.
So, yeah. I'm trying to think. I've heard anything else? No.
It's been really slow off season so far.
Well, we've had the testing, but teams generally shut down till Thanksgiving anyways. That's the vacation time. So Thanksgiving in the U.S. is this week. So
we still have the NASCAR award banquet to come up, and the who will win the most popular driver. I think it's a race this year between the 5 and the 9 on that.
Good. I don't understand how the 9 is so popular. Like, did he get all of Junior's fans and his dad's fans? Like,
I think so.
Is that how that worked?
But speaking of them, hopefully tonight Kyle Larson has better luck right now than he did the other night. I forget where they're racing in Placerville the other night, I believe. Those two guys, because Kyle did make the final, make the A main. And apparently, as I'm listening to one guy talking on the radio that called in, he kept weaving his way through the field, passing like 8-9 cars, and then he would hit the cushion, totally blow it, and then he'd start in the back, pass the same cars again,
right?
Hit the cushion, start in the back, and apparently the third time he hit the cushion was the third time's a charm. He actually rolled it.
Oh,
they red flag, got him off the track. And in their 60 seconds to fix it in the pit area, he was back out, past like 8 or 9 cars, and finished still in the top 10.
Why not?
And for Chase, I hope you make it out of the C main tonight, because you didn't the other night.
I will say, that's got to be Chase's one redeeming quality with us, is he does run dirt short tracks on occasion.
The other thing is, Chase, don't wear a flat brim hat. You look like an idiot.
You already have a big head. You don't need to make it look any more bigger. No. Sputnik.
Yep.
All right. On that note, anything else?
I got nothing.
Neither do I. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, because we're doing a bi-weekly format through the off season, unless there's something breaking, and then we'll do a show. But they need to break the news on a Tuesday. That's the key.
Yeah.
Or Monday.
None of this Wednesday shit. Just
none of this
Monday or Tuesday.
9 p.m. Tuesday when we wrap up, then you guys announce something. Don't be doing that.
No.
We're trying to help you advertise your sport. So be nice to us and send us some press passes.
Yeah.
Here we are. On that note, he's Doug. I'm Ben. This has been NasCanucks, your auto racing podcast, live right here on YouTube with a Canadian spin.
See you, Marcus.
Where's the ending? There it is.